Z zombies, contact, clock time. Any resemblance to reality, I wasn't. Contact. Soldiers of fortune, we, the mercenaries, men pleased with war. We go to battle for our ideals, for our profession, for good money, the leader, a tall Gomez experience and brutality to face anything. The first contact with a spit. The darkness closed around us as we advanced through the deserted streets. The sound of our steps resonated in the ruined buildings of the bombed city. Gomez had warned us about the rotting with an accelerated course and the situation picture. And for those of us who hadn't seen them live, who weren't like the film ghouls, they were a little worse. His skin was scratched, his eyes sunk and empty. They weren't just resurrected bodies, they were real monsters. The first contact was in a corner in the afternoon. A rot emerged from among the remains of a building, his mouth bleeding blood. Lenina pointed her gun precisely, but I pressed the trigger first. My 3 shells crossed through the cranium of the rotten that fell to the ground like a shit bag. We weren't safe, others were approaching. The comrades fired without interruption. Gomez defeated one of them. Her voice in my headphones sounded Administran, L.A., Munician, Lenny, and I, having located on the right wing, we covered each other. My rifle sang its version of Paint, it, in, black in my hands. How did we get to this? How could we have gone from reciting poetry, like any fortunate soldier who is worthy of it, to deliberately confronting these ugly monsters? Because that's our job, signing a paper contract for money, and a blood contract and code of honor with the weapons brothers, and respecting it with life, for having a family that also takes care of you at any time and place, and, some we do. The smell of powder, blood, and shit but rot filled the air. Rattles appeared from different parts, a disgusting plague. We were not going back. No. Because the only rule was win, or die intent. And so, opening fire, a lot of fire, the mercenaries, united by determination on our day 0 we had a chance of redemption, the rotten ones were here, and they were coming more. Part of the plan was to draw them to a closer area, and we were ready. It was not a conventional war, no quarter, no pauses, as the journalists would say, it was a cleaning operation, work that bombings, missiles, drones and regular line military troops had not been able to finish, each for its different operational limitations. So, against all logic, and against all ethics, what was left of the government in office contacted us, offered us a juicy contract, and all in less than a day, and here we are. Don't disclose it. We would have come free. Miraculously we didn't lose any comrades, the first day. The mercenaries, men and women curated by the war, who did not emerge from nowhere. Training is a mixture of need, skills, and a little bit of despair. On the first day of chaos, when everything collapsed, many found themselves trapped in despair. Governments collapsed, the armed forces were fragmented, and law and order were dimmed. In this chaos, some individuals realized that the only way to survive was to unite and fight. Mercenaries are neither heroes nor villains. Only people who have lost a lot. Some were ex-military, others retired criminals, and some were simply unemployed people who had adapted. The majority shared a common feature: they had left behind morality and hope. For them, life and death were the currencies of exchange. The leader in each group, in our case, was Gomez. A man liked by countless conflicts, with both physical and emotional scars. His charisma and tactical skills made him the center of gravity of the group. Gomez not only directed our operations, but also kept us united with his pragmatism and logic. We weren't altruistic. We do not fight for noble ideals or for humanity. We fight for money. We signed blood contracts, committing ourselves to protect each other and to carry out missions without questioning. Money was our religion, and survival, our daily prayer. Live the money, live the war and live the death. Some of us seek redemption in this world devastated by slumber. We had made mistakes in the past, and now we had the opportunity to correct them. Others simply accepted it. There was no room for morality or ethics. Only the fight, the blood, and death. So we form the mercenaries, broken souls, united by necessity and brutality. We are neither heroes nor monsters. We are the last line of defense where hope is lost. And on that zero day, our struggle for death and redemption began. In the group I was the communications. Yet, as you hear, before the Ghoul Chaos, he taught literature at a small university. My days consisted of developing analysis. But when everything went to hell, my life changed, too. Gomez, the leader, met me in a cafe near the university. With his hard eyes he asked me if he was willing to fight. I had military experience, but I had something more valuable, despair. I accepted his offer and joined the group. My role was that of a warrior. I carried a rifle-like missile, and fought body to body like Gomez. My weapons, moreover, were the communication devices and my polyglot capacity, transmitting and receiving reports of progress and state of the situation. We were the last line of defense of humanity. While the rotting crawled in the shadows, mine wasn't a heroic role, but it was mine. And among the twisted facts, even words can be weapons. In our group were Missile, nicknamed Samurai. His face was marked by scars, and his gaze reflected a past full of honor and tragedy. Although he did not speak much, his skill with guns was superior. When the rot came too close, Missile turned into a liquidator of steel and blood. His loyalty was unbreakable, and his silence, disturbing. Scares anyone. Nadia the Shadow, nobody was Russian. His dark hair and cold eyes hid secrets that not even Gomez knew. Nobody moved like a shadow, always one step ahead of the situation. Or in your bed, her ability to be willing to anything was invaluable. But he also had a hidden side. His past was stained with indignation, revenge, and many nights of party. Eric the engineer, a civil engineer, an expert in explosives with a calculating mind and an obsession for detail, made him unbeatable for planting traps or improvising explosive, was the man, and his obsession reached the ridiculum. Sometimes, he spent whole nights disassembling and arming weapons in search of, what, who knows what. Lennon, a law doc, Lenny, a nurse from Scotland, was our field doctor. Her sweetening look concealed an unbreakable condition, especially comforting at night and alone, leaves you always very relaxed, unloaded with guilt. Sometimes, in the darkest nights, we found her silently kneeling and reflecting in front of some comrade. Carlos El Cinico, a Mexican war correspondent, he always carried with him, in addition to his devices, a booklet and a pencil. Her chronicles, crude, without ornaments. They were not romantic, he described everything as it was. With a cynical laugh and a funny look, always said with his marked accent of Nuevo Laredo, I have seen things that you would not believe when I was in Las Vegas, but we all know that what happens in Vegas, you stay in Vegas, and nobody ever asked you for doubts. Everyone with their personal story, their demons, and their clowns. We formed our group of fortune soldiers, and we were an explosive blend of skills, tragedies, and personal nonsense. And as the rotting stuffed, we clinged to the only family we had, the Brothers of Arms. Bidasora, Day 1. Location, roof of a ruined building. The air is filled with boredom, and the smell of rotting meat is mixed with the smoke from buildings burned. The cluster of bodies is still drying. My breath is synchronized with my heart. For that spark in our genes. The building we settled in is a skeleton of concrete and steel. The broken windows and the peeled walls are an example of the situation. We've flown the stairs and we're on good guard. Ammunition is not scarce. And every shot, a blank impact, that's what we were told, sometimes, is not enough. The infected are persistent, relentless. They drag, they crawl, and it's like the same shit drives them. My comrades, they're sitting. Their gaze is diverse. The faces covered with careless beards are evidence of the exhaustion of the day that is not confessed. As the night falls and the screams of the infected people intensify, I can see the determination in their attitudes. The same one we always share. The radio is silent until sunrise. No signals. No message. Just static. We are the flames resting for the next fire, and the night advances. The infected group up at the foot of the building, like ants. We can endure with patience until dawn to serve you a breakfast of fire and metal. I approach a window, looking at the devastated city. The lights blink in the distance. The night passes. The wimps of the infected are mixed with the wind. I close my eyes and think I promised to survive if I got it, and that's what I'll do. Tomorrow will be another day, the second day of fighting, and we will be able to accomplish the mission. Yes, we'll do it, as we should. End of registration. Who knows? Someone will find the diary in the middle of the ruins because the Mexican forgot it when Gomez gave the order to advance. And if you find these words, remember that they remain among us.